Good morning, children. Welcome to Herleen Ma'am's class. Come on, Andy, give the introduction. Today's introduction is Chapter 12, A Prize for Freedom. Images, Grade 6, Chapter 12, Prize of Freedom, an extract from 1001 Nights, a collection of the West and the South Asian stories, folk tales compiled in the Arabic language. It has one of the world's greatest treasures. Today we're going to do a story about a fisherman and his meeting with a genie in a jar. Are we all ready? Over to Herleen, ma'am. Thank you. All right, grade 6 images, chapter 12. A prize for freedom. All right. Now, can you tell me a time when you really wanted something like real bad? Okay, can you tell me what happened after that when you got that? What kind of stories do you like to read? Kindly discuss and give me reasons for your answers. Now imagine part you have to do in your notebook, children. Imagine that you're faced with an angry senior in school from whom you have to escape. You have to describe and draw the situation. Are we all ready for the chapter now? Okay, we'll move chapter 12 now. Is it possible that by narrating tales, one might be able to save oneself? Is it possible that when you tell stories, when you narrate stories, tales, you can actually save yourself? Well, the character in the Arabian Nights, pronounced as Sehedzade, thought so. In fact, she told her husband, the king of Persia, a tale every night without ending it, to keep his interest alive, or else she would certainly face tragic consequences, some very serious results. This time, she told him the story of a fisherman. Children, in this story, we are going to read about this lady. She tells her, the princess, the queen, she tells the king of Persia. She tells him a tale every night. But you know what? She doesn't tell him the ending. Why doesn't she tell him the ending? Because she's scared that there can be some serious consequences of it. And this time, her theme of the story was of a fisherman. Once upon a time, there was a poor fisherman who had a wife and 3 children. Although he was poor, he was a man of principles. Lot of qualities, good qualities he had. He might be poor, but he had very good qualities. Whenever he went fishing, he vowed, he promised himself never to throw his net into the water more than 4 times. My God, that's amazing. Imagine a fisherman doing that. You know, he said only 4 times I'm going to cast my net, and if I don't get any fish, I'll go home hungry. He started early every morning and returned very late at night. On one of these evenings, he put his nest and waited for the fish to fall for his bait. What is a bait, children? Yes, a bait is something you throw so that the other thing or person gets tempted towards it. Like when you go fishing, near the fishing rod, you have to put some edible thing so that the fish comes to take that bait and gets trapped in the net or the fishing rod. So he puts a bait. Suddenly he felt great weight pulling at his net. He thought that he must have caught a big fish. He pulled at his net, but alas, what really came out was not a big fish, but the carcass of a donkey, a dead body of a donkey. Was it a fish come out? No. There was a dead body of a donkey which came in that net. The pulling was not all disappointing, but it had also torn his net. His net was torn because the donkey's carcass was so heavy, and his net is also all in tatters, in pieces. He took time to mend it, and then he cast it back into the sea again. Now the second time too, the net seemed heavy. Hoping that he got a big catch, like a big fish, he pulled hard at it. But lo and behold, this time too, his wish was unfulfilled. It wasn't a fish. Caught in the net was a basket full of rubbish, litter. He was not only unhappy, but he was extremely annoyed. He was very upset. "Oh, fortune," he cried, "do not taunt, do not mock at me, do not laugh at me. I'm a poor fisherman who can hardly support his family. Why are you making fun of me? First time you give me a carcass, a dead body of a donkey in my net. Second time you give me this bag full of rubbish. Why are you making fun of me? Why are you mocking at me? Why are you taunting me? Why are you laughing at me?" Now he cast the net once more. This was the third time. And as a man of principles, only 4 times. So we have another 2 chances. Yet again, the net pulled him back. He brought it up with great effort, only to find that the net this time was full of shells and stones and mud. So the first time he got a carcass of a donkey. Second time he got a bag full of rubbish. Third time he gets stones and shells and mud. He doesn't really get a fish. What would you or I or anyone do in such circumstances? The fisherman did the same. Now she is telling a story to the king. Now she tells the king of Persia. Now what do you think you and I would have done in such situations? He was left with the last chance. He threw his net for the 4th and the last time. This time too, it seemed heavy, and he pulled it up with all his strength. He pulled it up, but sadly, even this time, there was no fish. Instead, there was a yellow jar, which seemed full. There was a yellow jar. The mouth of the jar was well sealed. It was properly blocked with lead. The poor man consoled, he consoles himself. He says, "Doesn't matter. I will nothing else. I will sell the jar and get some money, and I'll buy a bag of wheat." At least he had something now. What did he have? Yes, he had a yellow jar. Before taking out the jar to sell it, he examined it and he shook it, and it rattled. There was a sound which came inside, but he heard nothing. Since there was a seal on it, he thought whatever was inside the jar would definitely be of some value. He says, the jar is sealed properly, it is closed properly, so I'm sure there's something very valuable. Now what does he do? He took out his knife and he pierced it open with great difficulty. He opens the seal. Though the jar was very heavy, to his surprise, there was nothing in it. He turned it upside down and he found nothing in it. All of a sudden, thick clouds of smoke began to rise from the jar, making the entire place misty as if there are clouds there, and eerie, frightening, strange. And out sprang a gigantic, huge figure comes out of the jar, throwing the fisherman back in horror. He's like this and almost fainted. What do you think that is? That's a genie, yes. Slowly, he gathers some courage and he stammers. How are you? Stammering when because of fear, you don't speak properly? He says, who are you? How did you get stuck in this jar? He looked at the fisherman haughtily, in a proud manner, and said, "Who are you to question me? I am here to kill you. What have I done? I helped you out of the jar. And this is how you repay me?" said the fisherman, alarmed at the thought of dying. The genie was in no mood to listen. "I'm going to kill you, no matter what you say. You can only choose the way you want to be killed." The genie was adamant. She was certain that's going to kill the fisherman. "But why?" pleaded the fisherman. "Why do you want to kill me? I helped you come out of the jar." "I do not have a choice," said the genie. "However, I can share my story with you if you would like to listen," said the genie. So began the story of the genie. He had rebelled. He had gone against the king of genies In order to punish him, the king had shut him up in the jar and sealed it with a lead seal, and thrown it out into the sea. That is how the jar comes to the sea. What had happened? The genie had quarreled, had rebelled actually, had gone against the king's wishes, king of genies, and in order to punish him, the king had shut him up in the jar and thrown it into the sea. The genie vowed, she promised herself that he would make the person, whoever freed him from the first 100 years, a rich man, but sadly, no one freed him in the first 100 years. He thought that whoever, helps the genie, but 100 years, nobody had. He then vowed that if anyone freed him within the second 100 years, he would give him all the treasures in the world. But he still remained a captive. He was still a slave. Then what happened? Asked the fisherman, eager to know more. After 300 years of being in the jar, the genie promised to make his savior king and also be his faithful attendant. Still, nothing changed. He says, okay, I waited for another 100 years. Staying cooped up, locked up in the jar for so many years had only angered the genie. He declared to himself that whoever released him would certainly pay the price. What a price for freedom, I must say, by dying at his hands. So the fisherman had to die. The distressed fisherman lamented his ill luck. He's like, what is this? Just imagine my luck. I don't get a fish. I'm a man of principles. I don't throw the net more than 4 times. And what's more, I saved the genie. I got her out of the jar. And the genie wants to kill me. What a price of freedom. What an unlucky man I am to have freed you. I beg you to spare my life, said the fisherman. The genie, waiting to enjoy his long-awaited freedom, grew impatient and got ready to kill the fisherman. The miserable fisherman tried to save himself for the last time. He says, since I must die, before I choose the manner of my death, you said I can choose the way I want to die. I request you to kindly tell me if you really were in that jar? Yes, I was, thundered the genie. The fisherman said, how can I believe you? The jar is so small and you're so huge. You're humongous. You're enormous. You're gigantic. You're huge. How could you have been in that jar for 300 years? You are playing a trick on me. I must see it to believe it. On hearing this, the genie became furious and turned into red smoke and blew himself into the jar and shouted, well, unbelieving fisherman, here I am in the jar. Do you believe me now? What a clever fisherman. He asked the genie, how did you get in the jar? And the genie gets into the red smoke and goes back into the jar and tells the fisherman, here I am. Instead of answering the genie, the fisherman sealed the jar again. And he said, you asked me to choose the manner in which I wish to die. Now it is your turn to listen to me what I plan to do with the jar. Well, Sajada was smart enough to stop her narration just when the king was eager to know more. This added another day to her life. Are we all clear with the story? She did not end the story because every time she would end the story, she would have to face some tragic consequences. And this time the story was of a fisherman, but she doesn't end the story. All right. I hope you all have enjoyed it. Yes, we all enjoyed it. Now, please like, share and subscribe to Harleen Ma'am's video, Prize of Freedom. Now, I'm going to go. Bye-bye, everyone.